Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of WTWO's Beyond the Stands. Of course, I'm your host, Rick Semmler. Remember, you can always follow Beyond the Stands on mywabashvalley.com. Joining me today is longtime Northview baseball head coach, Craig Trout. Coach, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I'm glad to be on and glad to see the sun shining here. I think we talked a little bit previously about the weather's been kind of havoc, but it's good to see the sun out and good to see you.
Appreciate that. I noticed you do have a sun coming through the windows there. I mentioned, I have a son that plays high school baseball this year. I've covered high school baseball forever in Indiana, and boy, can the springs be aggravating, and this spring has been aggravating, has it not?
Yeah, like I said, you look out the window, and right now the sun's shining, and then some pop-up storm comes through, and it seems like everything was good for 20 minutes, and then it gets really bad for 45, and you're done. And like I was saying, I was talking to my AD today, and we're out of diamond dry turfus because we've used so much trying to get this stuff in, and we're waiting on our new shipment to come in. But we've been lucky to get in what we could. Again, it can force you to lack some consistency. But it did give me a chance to see Austin Semmler pitch, and it turns out he's really good too. So that was nice to see for the Semmler family.
Well, he's not bad, and I can tell you he gets all his talent from his mother. Let me just tell you that.
So I will say I do know her, and I believe that.
Now, you talked about the diamond dry being out. I got to pick on your AD. I know Scott Buell, the Northview AD. He's got a daughter at Alabama. He's got, that wallet can open up a little bit and get you some more diamond dry quicker, can it?
Yeah, it wasn't for lack of trying. It was that we got over there for the Plainfield game, and I was like, well, we may use, 10, 15 bags, and I think we were through a pallet before we blinked an eye. So it was an expensive night. Hopefully we helped him out at the gate to get that back in there. But no, Coach Buell's been just awesome to work with, and he takes care of everything. And he told me, he's like, gonna have it today or tomorrow. So hopefully the Turfus company can kick it into gear here, and we'll get it.
There we go. I had to pick on Mr. Buell. He's a great guy. So the reason I'm having Coach Trout on, a couple weeks ago, he announced to his team that he is retiring, not even 40 years old yet, retiring, stepping down at the end of the season. I wanted to have him on because he's been doing it for a while. He's been very successful. First of all, I know this is something that has tugged at you. Why the reason to step down this season?
My kids are getting to that age where I'm starting to miss a lot more. When I had younger kids and we'd bring them to the game, it was one. But now my son's playing. My one daughter, Marin, she just started playing softball. Lincoln's playing during the week, and it doesn't really coincide with the schedule. And then my daughter, Callie, she's doing volleyball and rodeo. And so chasing kids, my wife, Robin, took a new job as CFO at Riddell National Bank. And so really it was just that time for me to say I wanted to do it on my terms. I think that you can stay around too long in coaching. And that's not a shot at anybody personally, but that was kind of always my stance, is I didn't think I would do it into that 30-year career. So for me, this was about right. And I started coaching at a young age. I started coaching really when I was 20 years old. And I started coaching football and then baseball, and I tried my hand at basketball, but now we're 19 years later, and a lot of people really start coaching at my age and then probably go a little bit later, but I kind of did it in reverse order.
You speak of that. I mean, most people do retire from coaching in their 50s and 60s. Here you are in your late 30s doing it. Do you look back at how young you started? And I mean, it's crazy, as young as you are, the amount of success you had.
Yeah, I've just been really lucky to be around a lot of great people and great coaches. My dad was a coach, Tony Trout, and coached golf teams, and he was assistant coach for John Crooks and Mitch Lancaster. So, and Mitch is part of my family. I've grown up around coaches my whole life, and I always wanted to do that. And I was able to get in with George Gettle and coach there, the football team. And then Scott McDonald, who's one of my great mentors, offered me the position to come on as JV coach. And I did that. And I probably never thought it would blossom into what it has. but I would say also coaching led me into teaching because I wanted to find that place where I could see kids succeed, and doing that on the field and then doing that in the classroom has had a big effect on me and how I go about my life, raise my kids, all those type of things. And so coaching's an important part. I think my son, he wants to do it, but I try to remind him that he's 9 and he's not quite ready yet.
I want to thank our sponsors of the show, Crow Equipment Incorporated. We got a new one, Snap Home Media LLC and Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning. Your 2018 American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning Building a Higher Standard Award winner for quality and reliability you can depend on. Call Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning, 765-832-9401. So it's very unusual. I mean, coaches step down all the time, but they do it at the end of the season. You did it in the middle of the season, and we were talking about this before we got on this. Why did you do this in the middle of the season, announce that this would be your last rodeo?
Yeah, so first of all, I hope it's not my last rodeo. I've been rodeoing for like 20 years. I hope I can maybe stay in good enough shape to get back into one. But what happened there was I was going to do it at the end of the season. I had talked to just my family about it. And I'd ran into a really good friend, Pace Jenkins, who's a really great umpire. And he was asking me, and I kind of talked to him about it, and then he let it slip. Once it got to the team, I just wanted to remove the distraction. And obviously, I hope that it does. It's not the easiest thing to do because of the relationship I have with the team. But I was still getting texts from people, hey, I heard this, I heard this, I heard this. And I thought, let me just clear the air and maybe we can refocus here and make sure we're focused on baseball and not focused on me, because this is not about me. It's about all these kids and these families that have put in all this time to make Northview baseball what it is. And I'm part of that, but I want to make sure that the focus stayed on the kids, and then we could refocus as a team and move forward towards a sectional.
You speak of refocusing. You said when you told the team and then you let me know about it and I put it out, you felt a weight was lifted off. Do you think maybe the final few weeks here that, not that you weren't coaching bad, but you might be able to coach a little bit better because, you feel a weight off your shoulders?
I think one thing about it is it's allowed me to make sure I take everything in more. That was kind of part of my style, is that I'm always I'm probably overly passionate. Everybody will say, again, don't get too high, don't get too low. I do not do that. I ride the highs and the lows, so I may not be the best example of that, but it's allowed me to loosen up and have some more fun. But like I told the guys, I'm not backing off of coaching them, and I think it's allowed me to clear my mind of that announcement, of that concern or thought, and be more in the moment with the game. My staff's done a great job. I mean, I've had so many good assistant coaches, and again, this year it's exactly the same. And they've been so supportive, helping out and doing those things with the team. Maybe when I seem a little bit distracted by those thoughts. But now it's really, I'm trying to enjoy it, smile a little more. Probably guys who played for me early on are like, who's that guy out there laughing and joking sometimes? But it's still coaching, and I still want to win every game.
I want to remind people the new ways you can find Beyond the Stands on Spotify, CastBox, Pocket Cast, and iHeartRadio. Okay, so you gave your reasons why you informed the team, why you're stepping down. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on, you've had an incredible 13-year run at Northview, where you did graduate from and play for. I know Northview means the world to you. What does Northview baseball mean to Craig Trout?
Wow. That's probably, I'll give a lengthy answer to a really, it seems like a short and simple question, but I grew up here. I grew up in Brazil. My family owned a dairy farm here. I love this community. Getting to play here, growing up at the CYL, all the great experience I've had, the friends I've made that are lifelong friends are part of that. I think that another part of that is I got into high school, and that group we had in 2005 and prior to that meant so much. Gary Witham, Scott McDonald, Kim Bass, Charlie Jackson, and I'm going to leave out a ton of names on that, I know, but we went through that tragedy losing Andrew Griffin, who was a good friend of mine. And that changed a lot of ways I view what I wanted to do in life, how I wanted to approach things. And so that was a big part of it. I think in just my life and thinking about that season in 04 and then on into 05 when we went on that semi-state run, it just how genuinely we loved each other and enjoyed the time being around each other. And we had some basketball games here at the house. I know Coach Withen wouldn't want to hear that, but those times that were really fun. And then getting into coaching, being first of all as a JV coach, being around Scott McDonald and just what he did, how he helped mentor me, show me about the game, teach me certain things that a lot of people have probably never talked about. And then being able to go and have my dad coach with me, have Mitch Lancaster coach with me. Now Luke Lancaster, Mike Walters, who played for me, coaching with me. It's really became part of my family. And I have a huge family already, but every one of these people that I've mentioned are part of my family. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ernie Simpson in this, because Ernie Simpson and Charlie Jackson took a shot on me. I was 26 years old, and they thought, that I was the guy for the job. And that's probably pretty hard considering how much success the program had coming up to that point. And then I think the last part is the players. And it's the biggest part, because I've taken my kids, my wife is obviously around, and then me, and to see how they treat my family, to see how they treat my kids, how they take them in and they're part of the family. I know this weekend they were texting asking how the kids were doing at the rodeo, and they want to know what's going on with Lincoln's baseball, or they want to know what's going on with Marion's softball. And so for me, I have a big family, and I love my family. It's the most important thing to me. Again, one of the reasons I'm stepping away there. But I've built such a large family, and I would hope that every one of those guys would feel that I always tell them after games, I love them and I'm proud of them, and I want the best for them. And I truly do mean that. That being said, that makes it really hard because of the fact that this has been such a big part for 13 years of my life. And, you think about the 2016 run, and we still get together from time to time with those guys. Just the text I've received, the outpouring from people, other coaches. I've talked to Coach Decker down at Silver Creek, who's been such a good friend of mine, and mentor to me, and all these guys who have reached out and I've talked to. And I know the parents have had a lot to do with this. They've allowed me to coach their kids, and they've raised great kids to be around. And so to me, when I look at our community, yes, in 2016, winning the state championship, bringing it back to my home school, that's one of the proudest moments of my whole life. But I'm more proud of our community and the way we've done things and the way people have handled themselves throughout the time that I've been here. And so that's Northview is it's part of my family. It is the easiest way to put it.
You mentioned that 2016 team a lot. They won the 3A state championship, beating Western in an incredible game, 2-1. Want to go over your coaching career, 13 years there, 4 sectional titles, 2 regional championships, 1 semi-state, and the state championship. You hear those numbers, and you talk about it's family, it's this and that, but you hear those numbers. You're doing something special on the diamond as well. How proud are you of what you accomplished on the diamond?
I don't know. I talk a lot, people, and anybody would say that, but I try not to talk about myself a lot. So one thing I would say is it's just been a humbling experience, and to see what we could achieve and where we could get to. I would probably credit it to my dad and my grandpa. I would credit it to my wife. I would credit it to my kids, the people who have allowed me, taught me. Again, Scott McDonald's in there. Yes, I've been successful, but to be successful, and you know this, you have to have people around you who are a great support system, who help you out. My parents, my mom and dad, pushing me to be what it is. But I think if I look back at it, I'm really happy with what I've achieved. But again, I look at those people around me and I can't thank them enough because they've allowed me to become the coach that I am and always, told me the truth. And that's been a big thing, is that they don't lie to me. Nobody fakes it. That was Mitch Lancaster and my dad when I hired him. They were like, we're not yes men. And they sure were not. But I hope that I just have made the community proud. At the end of the day, that's the one thing I want to do, is I want people to be able to walk away and say, he did a good job as a coach and he did what was best for the kids and then Northview baseball.
Well, I mentioned the 2016 state championship. I know you made the community proud with that. 2016, you win the state championship. 2017, you go to semi-state. Those 2 years, you had a lot of good teams, this and that. But those 2 years, I covered both those years. And I had no problem saying you guys could compete about with anybody over that 2-year run. Just how special was that 2-year run for you guys?
I think I get to talk about it with those guys a little bit more here and there. And I think the one thing that's incredible about those runs is that we had a really good group of teammates. They were good teammates. And we had special players, and Braden Tucker is still playing in the minors. But we had a group of guys who played together since they were in CYL. They were galvanized together. They cheered for each other. They wanted what was best for each other. And I did mention to my wife, I said, if I ever win a state championship, I'll quit. And so 3 years in, I won it. And then we're standing there and she's like, well, you're done then, right? And I'm like, well, the whole team's coming back, so I got to go back, And so I probably lied on that one. But I think if I talk about that team, I really just talk about legitimately the team. There was always something someone was doing that was really important to us being successful. Whether it's somebody laying down a bunt, whether it's somebody executing a hit and run, making plays when we needed to. And a lot of times we didn't talk about the wins. That's one thing. I think in 2017, we won maybe 21 or 22 games in a row. And we never even knew that was happening. We never talked about it. We never sat down and talked about it. And obviously a lot of times you don't talk about winning streaks, but it was more about every day getting better. Those guys, they could come in, start practice, get going, and they were coachable. They listened, and they wanted what was best for each other. So I think the special part of that team is that we don't see that as much anymore. We see a lot of individual stats, and good for those people. But I think if you want to have a successful team, if you want to have somebody who's going to win a lot of games and make big runs in the tournament, you have to have a team that's willing to do whatever it takes for everybody else to be successful. And that's what set them apart probably from a lot of other teams.
One funny story from that team, see if you remember this. I remember the week leading up to the state finals. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. You go to the Diamond during the day. It was June, so they had a school to practice, and there were no balls there. If you remember this story, a couple kids, they didn't mean to, but I don't want to say they broke in, but they got into the Diamond. They hit the balls out of and I remember you tweeting out, state championship week, and we have no baseballs here. Someone stole them. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so we'd practiced and school was out, so I would just put the ball cart in the dugout and not think anything about it. And a couple kids who just were messing around the stadium, got in and they hit the balls over the fence. They put some in the backpack, and I got there the next morning and I was like, where did I put these? Or did somebody come take BP and set them somewhere else? And we finally went back to the cameras and we see these kids ride off on their bikes with them. And I do remember people in the community showing up with buckets of balls and, getting us going. Another funny story from that week was I went to water the field and I left the sprinklers on, went home, and came back and we couldn't practice the next day on the field because I flooded the field. So that was obviously very good coaching there. And then we went to have a pep session in Northview, and the power was out, and we had to move it to North Clay. So if you want to think that I didn't feel snake bit or terrified heading into that state championship game, that would be a huge lie.
Well, hopefully other coaches listen to it. You guys are all, so superstitious. I mean, you had everything go wrong, and you still won a state title.
Yeah, that was I was not feeling great about that part. And then, we got into the game and we just fell right back into where we needed to be, just competing and not giving up, laying down bunts. The team never really took it to heart. I think today we laugh about it. There was probably panic on my face, but those guys didn't panic. They didn't back down from anything. That's not who they were. I think that's another thing that made them so successful was they didn't look at anybody else or any other team as an obstacle they couldn't overcome. And so as a coach, that also motivates you and makes you think, all right, we're going to get there. We just are going to have to maybe not go about it conventional ways like everybody else would. But in a lot of cases, we just made it work and got the win.
I want to thank our sponsors of the show, Crow Equipment Incorporated, Snap Home Media LLC, and Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning. Now, this is pretty cool. So I talked about how you're a Northview grad. You played there. You coached there. So you were part of the first regional championship baseball team in Northview history in 2005. I was at the game covering that. I'll never forget that. And then you won the first semi-state championship in school history and the first state title for baseball in school history. To be the first to be able to do something, I know you're going to say it was the players or this and that, but still, to be the pioneer, to get all that done as the first, is that pretty cool as a player and coach to be able to do all that?
Yeah, and it was amazing to be able to think back to, as we started to make the run in 2016, to think back to 2005 and tap into that and those memories. And that was really, really a good feeling. And then the other part of that is it's been really special. I think that to look back on it now and win the first state championship in a team sport, obviously Carrie Long was a state champion individually, but it meant so much to me because, again, I'm from here and I wanted to make sure that I did right by everybody here. And I hope they think that, but I really do feel walking away that I've done the best I could possibly do in the amount of time I've been the head coach.
Before I let you go, I want to talk about this year's team because you still got a month or so at least to do it. And I know you would love to go out on a high note with this team. You were sectional champs last year. A lot of new guys on the team. You're relying on some freshmen, some underclassmen this season. You're 7-10. I think that's a deceiving record because you beat one of the top teams in 2A in Evansville. Modern day, you beat a very good 4A Plainfield team. I guess the question is, where is your Northview Ball Club at?
The one thing is I think we're trending the right direction because we're making a lot less mistakes and we're being competitive in most games. Marshall was kind of an anomaly the other night, and that was a good program, and they hit the ball really well. But I think if you look at it overall, we're starting to find making less mistakes. Our baseball IQ is a lot higher. We're starting to capitalize on mistakes the other team makes. And so I think at this point, like you said, I think it's a deceiving 7-10 record. We've played some really good teams. Sullivan is a really good team this year. Greencastle is a really good team this year. So I think it's probably one of those things that when we look at it, we need to realize that we're a really good baseball team. And I know that we have some of those losses that maybe don't look good on paper, but we could also point to a couple things that happened to allow them to bust open to go the wrong way. But, after the Modern Day game and coming through and beating a Plainfield team 1-0 the other night, I think this team's starting to come together and we're starting to feed off of that and get to the point where they're galvanizing, and hopefully that if we can limit mistakes, we can win baseball games and hopefully make a run in the tournament.
So last couple questions here. This is the personal, the family stuff. How much is a Craig Trout going to be able to sit in the stands at Little League or travel ball games and not coach? I don't, if I go to a game and I'm not the coach, you don't hear me say much.
And the reason I don't say anything is because, those people are volunteering to coach. And, I saw that interview a long time ago with, I think it was Coach Martin was talking about when he goes to games, he doesn't say boo in the stands because these guys are volunteering. Maybe the umpire's making 45, 50 bucks or whatever. And so my job at that point is to be a parent and be supportive of the coaching staff, be supportive of my kid, but also let my son know or daughter know, if you do something wrong and the coach corrects you, that's okay. We just need to go ahead and keep moving forward and try to remedy those mistakes. If I'm coaching, which I coached my son's rec ball all-star team last year, I'm still into it. I still want to win every game, but I'll say this. Last year, there was a moment in one of those games where I saw a kid make a play and the smile on his face just to see him developing at those young ages. And I think I want a lot of parents to understand that these kids they're going to all develop at different times, and let them develop, let them play baseball, let them love the game. Because it's their life. It's not ours. We had our time to play. And I think that for me to go to a game, I just watch and have conversation with my wife about whatever I need to be doing the rest of the week. Because like I told you today, if you didn't text me and remind me, I'd probably just wander off like a little kid in the woods. But I think that my biggest role is to be supportive of the coaches, be supportive of my kid, be constructively critical if I need to, but always make sure that it's not about me and I'm not ruining anything else for the sport for them.
And I can speak, you just nailed it right on the head there. I've coached a lot of travel ball people that know me, and it's never about the adults. It's about the kids, and you hit it right. If you can make it about the kids, that's the best thing possible. So last thing before I let you go, you mentioned your wife a lot, Robin. Obviously, she's a saint for letting you coach all these years after you promised something and didn't live up to it. She's going to have you at home a lot more. Are you sure that's going to work for you two?
I think I have a lot more manual labor probably in my future. I think there was already a message about flower beds sent out there. I think there's already been a couple things that I needed to do that maybe I've always said I'm going to get to and never quite got to. So I think it'll be one of those situations where I'll be outside a lot, whether that's just outside because I'm working or I'm outside in the doghouse, one or the other. But my wife is fantastic. And honestly, like you said, if you know anybody who's a coach's wife, they're a saint because we take a lot of focus off of our families and we focus a lot of energy on the diamond and trying to get better and coaching other kids than our own. And she's drove all over the place, hauling these kids back and forth to different things that I'm missing. And so I love her so much for that. And she's always been supportive of me. And so hopefully I can live up to the expectations of being at home. But I'll tell you this, when we're at home, she's the head coach and I'm trying to keep up.
Amen to that. That goes for a lot of us. So, well, hopefully I get to have you on again, the podcast, before you're done coaching, because if you're on again, that means you probably won a sectional championship here in a few weeks. If I want to have all the sectional champions on from the Wabash Valley. So hopefully, at the end of May, beginning of June, I have you back on the podcast again before you're done coaching.
Well, that would be great. That sounds good. I don't want to put any pressure on you, but if you can make anything happen to help us get that done, I know that Rick Semmler's got a lot of strings he can pull.
You're putting the pressure on me, bud. You make me feel old. I came in and 03 and you were in high school. I was covering you, and here we are today. So I've seen you win a lot, and I know you still got a lot more wins in you, bud. So congratulations on the upcoming, I don't want to say retirement, just stepping away from the game. Enjoy the family time. There's nothing better. I have a senior, freshman, and sixth grader. You can't get the time back. Enjoy every second of it. I got a feeling we haven't seen the last of you coaching, though, in the future. But enjoy the time with the family now.
Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for all you do for the athletes in the Wabash Valley. I've been on both sides of it, and you've always been first class in the way you've treated the athletes and the way you've treated the coaches. And there's not many people who can say they've seen the young Rick Semmler and the old Rick Semmler, in all of his glory. But I am one of those people. So I want to say that you've always been one of the best, and you still are.
Way too kind, and you are seeing the old Rick Semmler now. So, Coach, I appreciate your time very much. That does it for this edition of Beyond the Stands.